Yo, yo, yo. We got my brother Black Tread TV in the building. Got my brother Rob T in the building. Welcome, brothers. Welcome. You know, we on the late night for the late night. Ain't too many people got to go to work tomorrow, so we're going to rock out. How's the sound, brothers? I'll let a few more trickle in before we dive into this. Before we dive into this thing talking about leadership and the labor of growing other men. Appreciate it, gentlemen. Music too loud, music too low. As y'all can see, this is my home away from home. I don't have my world map in the background, which tell you that I'm away from the Eagle's Nest, but it's all good. We're gonna cook. We're gonna cook. Hopefully, y'all brothers had a pretty productive week. And what I'm gonna cover, I'm gonna go over the 7 ideas of leadership. So, oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm gonna post a link for whenever you brothers get ready to rock out. And the way this conversation came about, man, is I had a conversation this week at work with a young brother who got a pretty rough upbringing, pretty rough background, and you know, I had the option to fire this dude, and the way that I've been trained and professionally trained, terminating this dude was the easiest thing to do, but that's not true leadership. So I at least wanted to try and see if I could have some breakthrough, and was able to do that. So I'm going to cover 7 pillars, excuse me, 7 pillars of leadership, and how they relate to us working together as brothers and even sisters, and why they are so important, and then try to give some examples of each one. After we go through and cover that, give everybody the opportunity to call in if you decide to do so. I already dropped the link in the chat, but I think it's all get some enjoyment out of it. It's not salacious or doesn't have any drama. It's not about celebrities like a lot of streamers do, but what I hope to do with my platform or with my channel is to kind of document this journey that I'm on, and document this the steps along the way. So, Simple Shit TV, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you tuning in. Really appreciate it. But what I hope to do is document this journey that I'm on, and really put words and almost like a journal of what this journey has been like. We got my brother Black Tread in the back. I'm gonna add you to the stream, brother, off top. You already know what time it is, bro. My brother.
My God, what's going on?
Oh man, I can't call it Ken folks. Shit, you good?
Man, I'm A1, brother. See, I just put
Good.
my kids been in the bed for about an hour and a half. You
Boy
already
said
know how
I'm
the
cool
vibe is.
money.
I'm cool money, man.
Hey man, ain't nothing wrong with it, brother. Ain't nothing wrong with it, man.
I'm comfortable as hell right now. Boy, I got on this old Nike hoodie.
Hey
You
man,
know what I'm saying?
what
You
I got on this damn goddamn, I don't know what you call it. It's like a thermal, but it's comfortable like pajamas. So hey man, you know
know.
I'm really out here on some minimalist type shit. You know what I'm saying?
Boy, this whole vibe you got in the back, boy, you look like you about to hop on the saxophone. You finna finesse these ladies in the crowd.
Hey man, I might pull out the, you know what I'm saying? I might grab this microphone and start singing and get on some tank type shit. You know what I'm
Oh boy, hell.
saying? But hey man, you know I damn sure thought about it. I was like, I'm just gonna go live on one of these streams and really just show them this acapella shit and how this shit's supposed to go. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I can
Boy,
see
niggas,
it's a big
motherfuckers.
glare on this light in the back. Let me swap it out one time.
Oh yeah, you good, you good.
Uh, Turn
Uh,
on
you,
some more.
did you already move, bro? I know you're in the process of looking at another crib.
Oh nah, we ain't moved yet, man. Just bad timing
Yeah,
on our part, man. We kind of missed the huge wave when the real
right,
estate market was at its peak. But
right. Before they
um,
raised them interest rates and shit.
yeah, so what we gonna do, man? We just gonna just hold back until the spring after the holidays and stuff like that.
Right.
Um, because we got some property, we got some acreage, and man, we working on the process of just building instead of looking for something. So
Yeah, yeah. Man, I think I'm gonna sell. I think I'm gonna sell my crib probably in the next. But like you said, it depends on what the market looking like. But I actually want to buy a few acres out there by the shop.
oh yeah, oh
Um,
yeah.
want to get a few acres out there, do a barn dominium bill. So that's my plan. The equity is enough where I can cover all that shit cash. I don't wanna finance nothing. No.
See, and that's what I'm on too, man. We uh Jazz, my wife's grandfather, man, has a crib, man, that we probably gonna move into just for a little bit until the house and everything. We're gonna be able to solidify, man. So
Right. Shit. That's what's up, man. I like having these conversations, bro, because some brothers, man, they may not comment, they may drop in and watch, but a lot of times they think that sometimes they're not able to see all of the years of work that we put in to get to the point to even have these kind of options. But I at least want to present them the opportunity to have those conversations, you know what I mean, without feeling like, oh, because I don't really understand equity or because I don't understand the process of real estate. At least open it up to them so that they'll know that, hey man, you can come in here and have these conversations. You can ask these questions. That's really what the platform is for. But
absolutely.
once I dive into kind of like the subject of the show where we're talking about the labor of growing men, I'll be interested in your feedback and some of your experience with doing it. And getting started with the first one is belief in the purpose. So
Hmm.
belief in the purpose for me, before I relocated, bro, I had a team of probably 60 people. And that's including supervisors, technicians, engineering technicians, machine operators, and shit like that.
Hmm.
And one of the roadblocks that I hit was that I had a good idea of what our purpose was, but I had a boss who was new in his role and was kind of blocking it was getting frustrating, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
One of the things that I found is I understand better now that I've relocated and taken on a more senior position. I realized why I was frustrated. The reason why I was frustrated is because he kept putting noise into my process, the way that I grow people, the way that I go about reaching the goal. So with the first point being belief in the purpose, it's hard to believe in the purpose when you have somebody who's kind of clouding the water, muddying up the water for the purpose to be really clear. What I've been able to do now, I've been here for a month and I've doubled productivity, bro, in a month, you know. Um, and it's been a hell of a thing to see, when you walk into a new position or you walk into a new facility or a new site, you have a whole workforce of people who don't know what to expect. They surprised that you a brother in leadership at the level that I'm at, because all they've ever seen is people that don't look like them. The workforce is probably like 98% black, um, and you already know how it is with a lot of us. One of the first things that they did um, was they began to start the rumors, right? And this is the cold part about leadership, is that you have to be able to not take that stuff personal. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And let it kind of roll off your shoulders. But um, having been somebody who's done this a couple times, I knew a few things. I knew that everybody would be on their best behavior initially, but eventually they would revert back to whatever their habits are over time. So I gave them a week to kind of put up the phony, everybody kind of moving with a purpose type thing. Everybody couldn't wait to get face to face to tell me everything that was horrible about the company. And then that second week, I would implement little bitty things along the way. First things that we started to implement, that every morning I give them an opening speech and we all stretch together. And then that was it, right? So I wasn't doing no discipline type deal. I was just there on the floor, helping them out, helping them run equipment, giving them insight, getting face to face, getting to know them. And then the first thing was just stretching together. And then the next week we would stretch together, and then I would present what we call like KPIs, like key performance indicators, our leading and lagging indicators. You know what I mean? And I would talk to them about really simplifying it and making it easy for them to soak up the information that we was trying to get out, that I was trying to get out to them. Those small things started to make some change, but what really made the change, honestly enough, is, and you and I know this, and a lot of the brothers and sisters in the chat know this, but when we talk about getting out in the world and competing, this shit is not race specific. You get out and you compete against every man. You know what I mean? Regardless of what his background is, it's like, hey, it's a clean slate, and we're gonna go for what we know, and we're gonna see who end up on top, right?
It's all about that bottom line, man.
It's all about that bottom line. But what tripped them out and what really got a lot of buy-in is before they had only seen white leadership, and when I came in, they had all of these ideals and all of these different things about how the company was going to go, who was going to do what. And all of this still ties into the first point I was talking about, which is belief in the purpose. They had all of these ideas about how we were going to get there. What tripped them out is they had a chance to see a brother in leadership really dictating what these other folks were doing that didn't look like us, right? And then they also got a chance to see that they were coming in on weekends, like I suggested. They were working on what I was telling them to work on. I was able to call out the problems as far as what was wrong with the equipment. And then before I got there, I put together a PowerPoint slide, and it gave kind of like a little rundown of my history with the company. It showed all of the different positions that I had been in. And one of the dudes said, "Hey man, I saw that up on the TV." He's like, "Man, I see your pedigree," and I don't know, maybe he was joking or whatever the case may be, but he got a chance to see that, like, oh shit, he know his shit. You know what I mean? I read this book called Lynchpin by Seth Godin, and it talks about the lizard brain. The lizard brain is the part of your brain that wants to be safe. It wants things to be predictable. It wants to remain in its comfort zone, right? And so when I read this book and it talked about that lizard brain part, the lizard brain of some of the folks, they were excited to see a brother dictating what these white guys were doing. I didn't take it like that. I was just like, hey, this is my position. This is your position. This is what I'm charged to do. This is what the expectation is. This is what I'm gonna double back and check on. So they seen these guys running around kind of like with a chicken with their head cut off, something that they had never seen before. Not only had they never seen it before, but they never seen it coming from a brother. This is how they were thinking. To me, I didn't care what color they were. I'm saying this is what needs to be done, and this is what my expectation is.
Right.
So you get past all of that, and we're running like a bat out of hell. Now setting records, all kind of shit. And it's tripping people out. The funny thing about it is the detractors really, they don't have a leg to stand on. Like, what can you not like about this guy, right? Their job is easier. We're putting out more products, so they're not having to work weekends. We didn't even work yesterday. You know what I mean? So, but it's funny though, when I think about the way that we're going about doing this stuff. And I was actually in a Teams meeting week before last, and one of the ladies queued up the microphone. She was like, listening to what the plan is for this plan and seeing the results, I got goosebumps. You know what I mean? So that let me know that the belief that I have in the purpose is a just one. When you talk about the bottom line, we're delivering on the bottom line. Productivity is going up and through the roof. And it's funny to watch the people who were so adamant that, oh man, I've seen a lot of people. I had a dude tell me, one of the tenured guys, he probably like 42, 43. So he's a couple years older than us. Oh man, I've seen people come and go in your position. I was like, oh yeah. He's like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, yeah, that ain't me though. Oh yeah, no, I was just saying. I was like, yeah, it's all good. You know what I'm saying?
Sizing you up a little bit, yeah.
Oh yeah. But you know, one of the things that the beauty of leadership is 9 times out of 10, you 10, 15 steps ahead of all of that shit. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't take it personal, man. We got my brother Blockavelli in the building. Simple Shit TV still rocking out with us. JC the Conqueror, man. I appreciate you coming in, bro. Good to see you. We got 7 in the chat right now. We're gonna keep on cooking up. So what
hey, Riz, let's rewind real quick, bro, because you was talking about prior to you getting the position, you had to deal with a certain individual that was kind of bringing some noise in your pathway. Speak a little bit about how you were able to kind of navigate that noise and ultimately ascend beyond that into what you're doing now.
Yeah, so you know, I understood a few things. So before I had that, before I had this interaction with my previous boss, I had another one before him that was doing the same thing. Now, let me kind of set the stage for you, right? As you know, I work for a big brand. And over the years, I've accomplished a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot. In one instance, and I've talked about it on a few streams before, in one instance, I was able to generate $28 million in a year for this company, right? And that made a lot of noise. And then when we would have like raw materials defects, I implemented processes and checks to where we can find this stuff real quick, and then we could also bill the vendor for our downtime based on how long we had to go back in and correct these issues that were driven by bad raw materials. Also, I had grown a shit ton of leaders, like guys who are now supervisors, guys that are managers, guys who were temps when they started working on my team that are now team leaders. So I took all of the so-called undesirables that were in the building, and I was converting these guys into leaders or converting them into different positions or giving them the skills and getting that buy-in. So I say all of that to say that I had a long track record of winning. I mean, consistently winning, and not just winning, but exceeding all of these different benchmarks, right? So when this new guy came in as my boss, one of my mentors, one of the guys who taught me a lot, he ended up getting promoted and moved to the East Coast. They brought in a new guy. He and I bumped heads. I stood my ground. He stood his. He ended up phasing out. They brought in this new guy who was a brother, so I wanted to do everything I could to make sure he was successful, but he had this thing where he was trying to be a politician, and he was also trying to teach me stuff that I already knew. And I was more or less looking for him to just, hey, go attack these roadblocks in these other departments that are hindering us from getting to where we need to be. The way that I dealt with it is I understood his perspective, right? I understood what was important to him. Where the problem came in is that what was important to him wasn't going to help us win. So I did what I knew would make the most noise without stepping on anybody's toes, without throwing anybody under a bus, because that's looked down upon in the corporate world, right? And I would have conversations with him. And then it got to the point where I was like, hey man, I will focus on my own business. I know that I'm talented. I know that I have the skills that it takes to generate $30 million. Or in another instance, generate another $14 million, right? And then when I quantified all of the things that I had did over the years for this company, what it came out to was probably close to 200 million. And then that's from a high level, not even getting deep down in the weeds. But when you have that kind of track record, you have a lot of people behind you at the corporate level.
Right.
I had presented with these people before these guys got to corporate. They were already high up in leadership, but they also were mentors of mine because they would come to what was our flagship site, and I was one of the guys who were rocking out in that site, right? So, long story short, to answer your question, realized what was important to him, tried to deliver on it, and when it didn't work, what I learned is that upper leadership knew that he was new in that role also. And I also had a champion that I didn't know about until after the fact that was relaying what was going on. He was like, hey, that guy is new. And him and Wrench are kind of bumping heads because Wrench has been doing this for quite a long time. So I put in a letter of resignation. I said, hey, man, I'm going to resign and I'm going to go focus on my own business. That made a lot of noise. I got a lot of calls, a lot of texts, a lot of emails from the corporate level. Hey, man, listen, I heard you going to take care of your own business. What can we do? I was like, there's no dollar amount. Well, we know now that shit.
Yeah, that's exactly what they hit you with.
Man, remember I was telling you when I was going through this whole process, I was like, bro, I'm gonna call out a ridiculous number, bro. I was like, and if they go for it, then, but I was wholeheartedly planning on phasing out, man.
Right.
And focusing on the shop. But that's how I handled that situation, man. I knew I didn't want to be a bull in the china shop and throw my person that I report to directly under the bus. But I also wanted to do something that would make a lot of noise, and I had also put in the work to be able to circumvent that whole situation. You know what I mean? As you know, shit, one of your cars is in the shop, had the shop in place. I had the liquid finances to be like, hey man, look, as soon as I leave here, I already know I'm gonna pay my mortgage up 6 months. It's all I had to do was add water and start working. But I got a call from one of my other mentors, and he said, hey, what do you think about Kentucky? And here we are. So this is for everybody in the chat. Normally you'll see that map behind me, that world map, the world currents map. And that's when I'm rocking out back home in Texas. But right now I'm in my second residence, my home away from home, out here in good old Kentucky, making something shake. As you can see, I brought my neon lights with me. You know what I mean? So I'm ready to cook up. One of the things I wanted to ask you, man, is the first point that we're talking about is belief and purpose.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of insight can you provide for the listeners when you talk about believing in a purpose, and how do you know when you're truly bought into a purpose?
Man, discovering a purpose that's almost neck and neck with actually loving what you're doing, because that's essentially the motivation. If you can't find a love and a purpose for what you're doing, and whatever you're doing is gonna be it's gonna be short. Either especially if you get into a leadership position, your subordinates especially your experienced subordinates, are gonna recognize that. They're gonna see it. They're gonna feel that energy. Like, okay, he ain't going hard, or he don't seem to be motivated by it. He's not putting in the hours that he's trying to get us to put in the hours.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not matching the energy that he's trying to put out. So, I think that purpose is essentially everything, bro.
Yeah.
Even with my job, like, I'm 10 years in now, and I think my purpose for what I do at its core remains the same, but from that core purpose branches out different motivating factors.
Yeah.
Because, as you know, my job constantly changes. And so with each new experience, therefore lies an opportunity to either find love within that and to create a purpose. And even my job, as busy as we are, we get burned out. So I
Mm,
constantly have to find that motivation and find that purpose and kind of fall back in love with what I do in
right,
order to keep pushing forward. Because
right.
burnout is real.
Do you ever get that wild urge to start running back and burning houses, man, or is it always something that's a little bit different where you can say, "Hey, I've been there, done that," and I'm moving along, experiencing other things that still fall under the same umbrella, right? Or is it ever like, "Hey, man, I'm trying all of this different stuff, but I still have that itch to, go put out some fires."
I'm not gonna even stunt with you, bro. I haven't had that urge since my kids were born, bro.
Straight up,
Um,
straight up.
and of course maturity within the job itself, man. You realize, man, every time a building or a house is on fire, man, somebody's losing something.
Mm,
Um, could be Big Mama. Big Mama didn't believe in banks. She had her stash up under the mattress.
mm,
So, and I've been in situations where we've seen that, specifically a Hispanic family come
mm,
home, they house on fire. They don't even know about it. They just see smoke like everybody else.
mm.
And she yelling out, all my money, all my money. So we go in the house and there it is. Mattress on fire. You just see burning money, bro. Like, but you can see the devastation in her eyes. Like that's all she had. That was it. That was her bank.
It's a
Ill
year,
advised.
years up in smoke. Shit.
Absolutely. In an
Mm,
ill-advised move, I would never advise anybody to put their money in a mattress. If anything, you can find you a safe or something.
yeah,
But old school, that's all they knew.
yeah,
That's how my big mama did it.
yeah.
I'm sure your grandmother did it.
Same shit. Crown royal bags with
That's what
fucking
I'm
money and
saying.
shit balled up in them. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. So I don't necessarily get that urge. It's funny. Um, I got asked to actually go fill in at a station. It was about 3 weeks ago,
Mm,
and we catch a fire at 3 in the morning. Now, mind you, I ain't been in no build. I ain't ran up in no building in almost 2 years. And so I think what 85 to 90% of all of our fire calls, our alarm calls, are normally inactive. Like they're false alarms. It's usually gonna be like some burning food. Somebody left the stove on. Maybe it smoked up the place. Looked like a fire. But the reporting company get out there and they tell us, man, 2-story flat roof apartment, lots of fire and smoke. So I'm like, I'm tired. I'm wiping boogers and shit out my eyes, bro. I'm just like, damn, man, we really finna get busy.
yeah.
Um, and it's kind of, fighting fire to a certain extent. It's kind of like playing basketball or playing sports.
Mm. I'm changing out this battery, bro. I'm listening to you.
Oh yeah, you good, you good. It's kind of like playing sports, bro. Like if you ain't did it in a while, you got to be in a certain type of shape for it. If you ain't ready for it can whoop your ass.
Right.
And I got my ass whooped gracefully. I ain't let everybody else see it. You know what I'm saying? My pride would let me look like no punk out there, man. But from climbing on ladders and jumping on roofs and holding chainsaws and cutting holes in roofs and shit while shit on fire, my body was hurting for the next 3 days. But yeah, just to revert to originally answer your question, nah, man, I really don't have that urge no more. Which is why I kind of moved into the position that I'm in now, just dealing strictly with mental health. And about to get promoted again, about to move to another position. That's going to be dealing with the whole opioid crisis. Becoming a resource officer for that, and just providing resources and kind of help navigate that pandemic in Dallas. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Uh, but you know how I am. I'm gonna finesse it real quick. Yeah, we talking about this opioid. Yeah, let's talk about this crack. You know, what I'm saying? Let's include everybody. You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah,
how I move. You know,
yeah,
yeah, it sound good when it's just opioid. Yeah, we
right.
still got people hurting out here from the crack epidemic. So I'm gonna satisfy what I have to on my own for the job sake, and do what I got
Right.
to do for our people too. So
Straight up, man. I had I had a situation, man, where I watched this documentary, and I know this is a little bit off the beaten path, but I think it's important to cover. I watched this documentary, and they was talking about the opioid crisis. Um, Oddly enough, in the part of country where I'm at now, so West Virginia, and of course that it's tearing this place up, right?
hmm
And you know they had all of these resources that they were throwing at it. And I couldn't help but think, like, damn, man, where were all these resources when the crack epidemic hit? Everybody was more or less sitting back watching the culture burn, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, damn, man, it's, you have people kind of passing out and they're having, I don't know what it's called, you'll know better than I will, but like when they had a heroin overdose, they run up and jab them with the,
Narcan.
yeah, the Narcan to kind of bring them back. I mean, and they literally had like people working long hours. Um, the chief of their fire department, the paramedics. I mean, they would revive one person, they'll get another call. They would
hmm
run and revive them, they would get another call. I mean, it was all over the place. And I was like, damn, man, when this shit was happening with the crack, where was all of this focus? You know what I mean? It was more or less, you were getting long jail sentences, and you know, so I thought
You
about that
ready?
as I was watching.
You ready to open up that can of worms?
They might flag the stream, but fuck it, shit, let's rock it.
So we
Fuck
already
it.
know the answer, bro. We come
Yeah,
on, dog. We know what's up with that, bro. That was intentional. Hell, they put a damn show on FX that
yeah,
loosely talks about how that went down, and there was a lot of truth in that. I'm watching this like, yo, okay,
yeah.
they just dropping crack off in the hood or dropping cocaine, crack off in the hood just to fund these contra wars, bro. We
Straight
know
up.
what the business is, bro.
Hey, they
And
got that boy Freeway Ricky Ross and what was that pilot name that miraculously yeah, Gary Webb, there it is, Rob T called it out. That was the CIA,
mm,
a great book called Dark Alliance by Gary S. Webb on the crack epidemic, the Contra trials. Yeah. And who was that other guy? He was I think he was a military officer that they got locked up, but he kind of took the fall for it. Damn, what's that dude name? Yeah, okay. Barry Seal was the pilot. Yep. Who was the
boy,
who was
your
that?
fans on it.
They but hey, these some sharp brothers.
I'm sitting over here thinking, I'm like, damn, they calling it out before I can even get to it. Okay.
These some top shelf sharp brothers, man. Um, MTR 94. Hey man, I appreciate you. I appreciate you doing the stream, bro. He said I saw some dude straight shooting up on the bypass, driving around DFW. Hell yeah.
Oh,
I be
all the
trying,
time, bro.
I be
All
trying
the
to tell
time.
people, hey man, the city. When I came out here, bro, I didn't realize, because you grow up in the city, bro. I didn't realize Oliver North, man, say Oliver North. Hey,
Hey,
bro.
you wanna know what's trippy, bro?
Mm,
I living in New Mexico for 3 years, bro. And
mm,
New Mexico is in my opinion, I have no statistical data to back this up, but meth runs wild out there,
oh
bro.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and I remember we being on campus. We could be leaving practice or something, bro. We just boom, we just hear an explosion.
fucking meth lab.
Oh, dude, it used to happen so randomly, bro. We used to hear like an explosion in the background at least once a quarter, sometimes
Mm,
once a month even. And I ain't gonna call them necessarily friends. I can say acquaintances, who kind of hung around the basketball team and stuff like that, just because. But they come in and they on meth. And the dangerous part about meth is, bro, it has no smell. At least the
yeah,
stuff they had out there.
yeah.
So they could be smoking right in front of you. You don't know what it is. Versus
Hold
you.
tight, hold tight, real quick, bro.
Oh
Notorious
yeah, you
Kevin
got it.
Brooks. Hey, I appreciate you. I appreciate you chiming in, brother. The Cash App is in the top left of the screen, so wrench turning, and then the PayPal is in the bottom right, brother. Appreciate you chiming in, and I know, like you said, you got to get some rest, but definitely catch the restream, bro. This conversation is it's gonna be one for the books, and I'm gonna leave it up to if YouTube take it down, then hey man, I'll edit it and put it back up. I'll put it up as many times as I need to in order for this conversation to be heard. But I appreciate you, appreciate all the support from all of you gentlemen, and I appreciate you brothers' minds, man. Like I said, I'm getting stuck. You getting stuck. They like, Oliver North, hey, Barry Seal, you know what I mean? So I love to see it, man. It showed that I got the right type of brothers in this space. I try to keep as many trolls and shit away, but probably ain't big enough for no trolls yet. But when they come, we'll deal with them accordingly. But the Cash App is in the top left, brother, and the PayPal is in the bottom right. I appreciate you, brother Kevin Brooks, man. Make sure you get some rest your mind, and get ready to get up tomorrow and be just as productive, brother. So I appreciate you. What was you saying, folk?
Yeah, I was just saying, bro. You know how I was back on West Main, bro. Like, you knew what the smell of crack smelled like. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't really it wasn't like a bad smell. You'd be like, ugh. It was just like somebody lighting up somewhere.
Yeah, you knew what it was. That shit had like a distinct smell, bro. When you said that, I could smell it.
Yeah, man. So you knew what it was, but that meth, you don't smell nothing. You just walk up to somebody and they smile at you and they front's gone. So you already know what time it is.
Yeah.
But
that shit that's cold Billy right there. So the second pillar that we talk about, and there's 7 of them, right? 7 pillars of leadership. The second one is taking full responsibility. And in my experience, when I first got to this new site, the minute I accepted that role, that was one of the things that I really internalized in my mind, was that, hey man, the numbers are they're in the tanks, and from this day moving forward, I'm responsible for them. Yeah. Before I could even get it in the folks' mind that they are also responsible for it, I took complete responsibility for it, and I started thinking of ways that I could, number one, get some immediate wins. I was like, because morale was low, turnover was high, people weren't bought in. You had all these little petty beefs and petty little stuff going around on the floor. It was literally like walking into a daycare. Right. And I know that my boss is one of those high performing people, right? He graduated from the Naval Academy at Annapolis, played football for Navy. This is who my boss is. So he's the number 1 guy, I'm the number 2 guy. Right. And I knew he was spent. I also knew that he would have a hard time really relating to these guys who come from the projects, essentially the projects of Kentucky, or the bad parts of Kentucky, the West End out in Louisville, you know what I mean? The worst parts of Lexington, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I think the reason why they had worked so hard to get me out here, even when I was trying to lead the company, was I'm able to bridge that gap, right? So I can talk the language of corporate, understand all of the metrics, understand the numbers, understand the goals, understand stretch goals, Gantt charts, leading and lagging indicators, all of that shit. Okay. But also I can get down on the floor and have a conversation like I had on Friday. And I said, hey, bro, this is a true story. I said, hey, man, listen. And I had the full group in front of me doing my normal spiel. And this is something that eventually I will hand off to my supervisors, but I have new supervisors also who are unable to do this. So I got out in front of the group and I said, hey man, I'm going to assume that on the way to work today, somebody ran over some roadkill, right? Mm-hmm. They ran over some roadkill, and that roadkill was a skunk. And the smell of that skunk was so potent and so pungent that it came up through the vents in the car. It got inside of your clothes. You didn't know it, and you came on in the building and walked by me, and I smelled it. Right. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I looked around as I was having this conversation, and I was talking to people, and I can tell that it registered what I was saying to them. I said, I'll say it again, and I want you to listen really carefully about what I'm about to say to you. I said on the way to work, somebody hit some roadkill. I think it was a skunk. That smell came up through the vents in the car, got in your clothes. You didn't know you came in the building and you walked by me and I smelled it. But that's what I'm assuming. But the next time I'm not going to assume that. I'm going to dig a little bit deeper and figure out what that smell is. And you can see some people kind of like looking around at each other. I was like, one guy, he square. Hey, are you speaking in code? I said, hey man, listen, somebody hit a skunk on the way to work. That's all I'm saying. Little old mixed dude. Hey man, are you seeing it? But you know, and I told my boss about this. He was like, damn, that's good. So to me, it's not anything special. It's a way of saying, hey bro, you're walking by me and you're not smelling right. Obviously, if I know that it smells like a skunk, you know, I'm pretty sure you know what it is. You know what I mean? And if that's your get down, I should know that. You shouldn't get hurt and have to take one of these mandatories, and you shouldn't be walking by me smelling like it. But what I know also is that it's a part of buy-in, oddly enough. Because I could have easily been a square and get up there. I smell, I'm not gonna say it on YouTube, right? But I smell whatever. And everybody kind of look around, well, it ain't me. But the way that I went about doing it is for a couple of different reasons. Number one, I want you to know that I know, and you know, number two, I want you to know that if I smell it again, it's gonna be a problem. We're gonna figure out what it is. But also number three, I know that morale is already low, turnover was already high. And we need to stop the bleeding, right? I can keep cycling out people and I'll never have any tenured people who know how to operate the machines. So I'm trying to stop the bleeding immediately. My brother, Simple Shit TV say a respectful shot over the bow. Exactly, brother Rob. Brother Rob, you got to think outside of the box, man, to try to get these brothers. These are the pains of growing men, bro. These are the pain. It was a brother, a little young brother. They got this thing nowadays where they all wear the ski masks. We call balaclavas when we would ride motorcycles where they only got the eyes open. You know what I mean? They walking around with these on nowadays. So, you know, but I had that conversation with him not yesterday because I was off yesterday, but Thursday. The direct deposits had hit. Everybody was in good spirits, but I absolutely wanted to call it out because I was like, bro, if we're gonna win, I need everybody on their A game. You know, I need everybody on their A game. I appreciate that, brother Rob T. It's one of the things that I've learned over the years as far as how to get a point across without without acknowledging piss poor decision making, if that makes sense.
But that's what separates, you know, that's what separates bosses from leaders, man. Is the fact that you was able to so-called pull that shit out your ass in a moment's notice and still get the message across without, you know what I'm saying? That's high level.
Yeah. And you know, the crazy part is, and that's why I love having these conversations on the channels, because I did a video a couple months back and I talked about using parts of your personality and leadership to get shit done. And that was just a prime example. I'm always using comedy to get through to people now. I have a real hard line and I have boundaries where I'm like, hey, if you cross this boundary, bro, I will absolutely get you out of here.
Right.
And oddly enough, I've turned like 5 people in 4 weeks. Because I understand that's a part of it too. You got to set the tone. Like, hey, bro, this is what you're not going to be able to do. Bam, 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 bam. And then a lot of times people would take your disposition as being somebody who's real approachable, somebody who you can talk to, and you know they're going to try to pull your card. And I let them pull it right on out the door because I know that's not my intention when I get up in the morning, is not to go after your job, bro. But I absolutely will get you the hell up out of here. You know what I mean? The second point that talks about taking full responsibility. I knew I was responsible for these bad numbers. You know what I mean? From the day I took the job, this is what I walked into. Hey, this is on your plate now, and this is how you need to handle it. Excuse me, this is how you need to handle it. Oh shit, my brother dropped a 50 spot on me for putting in the work. Hey man, I sure appreciate it, bro. I sure appreciate it, man. I might be able to get me some DoorDash or something this week. But I appreciate the support. Matter of fact, I need to go ahead and let me. I know what I'm gonna do. I got you, bam. Make that brother mod. I need to make brother Rob T a mod too. There we go. But yeah, I knew that I was responsible for the numbers, and then to see him switch, and then to see the buy-in from the people is good. You know, it's one of those situations where I knew that it was going to happen. I even told my boss, I was like, "Hey man, it's not going to take that long to change these numbers around." I mean, I was like, as long as everybody, as far as the leadership team, do exactly what I'm expecting them to do and what I ask them to do, I know that we'll be able to accomplish what it is that we're trying to accomplish. So on that second point, taking full responsibility, all of the things that, and it's a lot, bro. I can literally talk forever about what it is that I did. I give you another example. So there's a tenured guy there who is like the maintenance subject matter expert, right? Well, me working in this industry as a technician, damn it, I'm a maintenance subject matter expert too, you know? And we would respectfully bump heads sometimes. He's an old head. He's been in the industry for 30, 40 years. He has an idea of how he wants things done. Cool. But whatever you've been doing is not working. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I know that the people feel like that's where the buck stopped in the past. With me being a new leader coming into this site, I need to be able to show them that now the buck don't stop there, it stops with me, right? And so what I did, this piece of equipment, I rolled a dry erase board out to the floor, and I drew the main components of this machine because I understood I had done rebuilds on this machine like years ago. I drew the main components and I wrote everything. It was out of time. It had worn parts. The bearings looked like the bearings like they were dry. The chains looked stretched. I mean, I wrote everything out, and this maintenance guy was kind of like, well, you know, we got parts coming, but they have a long lead time. I was like, are there any machine shops nearby? Have we looked at any other vendors? You know, what are we doing? Okay, there's a long lead time on the parts. What are we doing right now? What are we doing right now so that we can win tomorrow? Well, you know, I was like, so is there CNC cutting services here? I know we got them back home. What engineering company do you use so we can reverse engineer some of this stuff? Because we can't just wait. Man, I got to putting fire on them, man. He had dudes working on it over the weekend, and this machine started running better. And then I moved to the next piece of equipment, did the same thing. And I'm doing this all in the course of like a week. So the people were like, oh shit, he legit. Because this guy who doesn't listen to anybody, supposedly, it's on his toes and he's jumping to it and getting shit done. You know what I'm saying? Whereas before, they would bring a problem to him and he would, oh, that's not it. Well, you can't tell me that's not what it is because I'm looking at it now, and I'm telling you what I'm looking at and what I'm seeing, right? And then I know how to have those conversations to where I'm like, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying, but nah, you know what I mean? But what is your take on taking full responsibility? And I know with your job, man, is or your career, that's not a job. With your career, you know, you're dealing with people's lives, so taking responsibility is really a given. Taking full responsibility is a given. So what are some examples that you can think of where you literally take shit out? That's damn near a silly question to ask, but like I said, you're taking responsibility with every single thing that you do because you're putting your life at risk, or you are literally, responsible for other people's lives. So I guess my question is kind of simplified. What are examples of taking full responsibility as it relates to leadership that you can provide for the folks that are listening? Simple Shit TV, I appreciate that. People got more excuses than solutions sometimes. Damn right.
That's a fact.
And the funny thing about that is that's one of the true signs of leadership is that you're able to solve problems. If you can effectively solve problems, do it in a timely manner, and implement processes to keep them problems from happening again, bro, that's leadership. That's literally all leadership is. That's also the perfect model for starting a business. You feeling the need of solving problems. So excellent point. My bad, bro. Go ahead.
Oh no, you good, you good. I kind of feel like that's kind of you kind of have to own your situation constantly. Not just with being a firefighter. That's with
Hmm.
any job. Being a police officer, specifically being in the public sector, because somebody's always watching. We're held to a higher standard. You know, even outside of the job, our little shit that could easily get us caught up in the news, because we can do some of the smaller shit. Once the news get a hold of it, man, it's like it's amplified just because we're in the public sector. You know what I'm saying? It's,
Right.
oh, firefighter such and such, police officer such and such. Um, but 100%, man, you literally have to take that responsibility, and not just in jobs, man. And it's funny, I was having this conversation with my wife the other day, even in relationships,
Hmm.
and just kind of piggybacking off what you're saying and how you had this problem solving approach to your subordinates. You have to have that. You have to be that way in relationships too, bro. Like if you have your wife or even as a man, you constantly bringing up problems, but you're not proposing possible solutions to those problems. Then respectfully, it just sounds like you bitching.
Hmm.
You ain't trying to get nothing done.
Hmm.
Um, so just personally on my end, when it comes to my job, I'm not a lieutenant. I'm not a captain or anything like that. So I don't necessarily have that responsibility. But a lot of the times when I'm out somewhere, 10 years on a fire department is not necessarily a lot of tenure,
Mm.
but you're kind of in that middle. So sometimes I may be on shift and I may be the most tenured guy there. So I have to kind of act in a leadership role. And so
Yeah.
whatever problems that we may be facing for that day, it's ultimately my responsibility to find solutions for those. And our job is all about problem solving. It's not necessarily about fighting fires, because we get called out for a lot of stuff. Whether it's car accidents, it could be old lady calling us out because one of her pipes busted and she shut off her water.
Hmm.
Um, and some of our issues that we face are multifaceted or extremely complicated, where we may have to have multiple solutions to a number of problems and not just one. And we have to think of these solutions in a timely manner,
Right.
like you said, because lives do depend on it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I
Right.
think that that ownership is also about being prepared prior to a situation occurring. You know what I'm saying? And that's where your
Yeah.
experience comes in. That's where your resume comes in, all of that.
Yeah.
So, uh, and 'cause like you said, if not, man, somebody could die, lives could be lost, and I've been in situations, not me personally dealing with it, but I've been in situations where lives have been lost the because of the our how can I put this? Our leadership's inability to make a decision. In which I think that's just being a man, period. Being a man is making a decision and just staying
Yeah.
ten toes down on that decision, good, bad, ugly, whatever.
Right.
Um,
At least you made one, and hopefully you
at
learn
least you
from it if
made
it's not the right.
one.
Yeah.
Absolutely. hundred
Yeah.
percent.
Yeah.
100%. So
Oddly enough, bro, the next point that they talk about, and I think what you just said is a good segue into what this next point is. And the next point is the ability to forgive and move on. That's the third pillar of leadership. The third pillar of leadership is the ability to forgive and move on. So, in a situation where higher ups may get analysis paralysis and then a life is lost, how does that look? How does that ability to move on after something like that? What does that look like with your specific specialty?
heavy, bro.
Yeah.
Real heavy. If you ultimately know that you are responsible for somebody losing their life, especially when you're a good guy.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And it amplifies, bro. It turns into a problem, bro, because that's something you can't get back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's tough. I've never been in that position, and knock on wood, hopefully I'm never in that position to where, my actions or inactions lead to the loss of life, but it's a strong possibility.
Yeah.
It could happen.
Man, when I have these kind of conversations, bro, and I try to explain it to people that I work with, because I know that your career is decisions are being made with your own life. Decisions are being made across the board that dictate other people's lives, right? I look
Mhm.
at what I do and I try to explain to these folks. I'm like, hey, man, it's not that serious, bro. Like, we absolutely want to win, but there are people out here literally risking their lives or putting their lives on the line and making real deal decisions. You know what I'm saying? So when I see these folks arguing about, man, my shovel ain't where it's supposed to be, or my squeegee ain't where it's, I'm like, bro. But I'm looking at it from the perspective of someone who has people that I'm close to who make decisions that determine the outcome of people's lives. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And then that's why it's really important to have these conversations. And even for the people who are listening in the chat, it's important to hear these conversations happen because it puts into perspective some of the things that we may be going through that at the time may seem like the weight of the world, but shit, when you think about, is it something that is going to determine your life, or are you making decisions that are going to determine the outcome of somebody's life? And when you can put that into perspective, you're more subject to kind of calm down, get a clearer mind, and say, hey, all right, this is not the end of the world. It may be stressful, but it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? It's not as heavy a burden as what you're talking about right now.
But it even goes back to, even when I had my 18 wheelers,
Mm-hmm.
initially it started out as a side hustle. And then we started growing exponentially. We went from one truck to 6 trucks almost within a year.
Right.
And now we have a full blown business, payroll, kind of a HR, not a full blown HR. Now we having to supply benefits to our drivers, to our secretary, our all these people. And then you get to the point where you actually start to get to know these people. And now these people are dependent on you to make a decision, to make the right decision so that money can keep coming in so that they can pay their bills. Like,
Yeah.
that's pressure too. Like,
Yeah.
especially when some of these people got kids.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, we gotta make payroll. That's number one. You
Yeah.
have to make payroll.
Yeah.
And if you can't make payroll, bro, you got to go in your pockets to make sure that
You
you
gotta
keep
hit
these
them
people
save.
in. You gotta hit them savings, dog. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? That's pressure. I think that put more gray hair in my head than the fire department.
Yeah. Yeah. Straight up. Yeah.
Straight up. You know what I'm saying? And just hoping that none of my drivers go out here and kill somebody, because that's gonna be another headache.
Yeah.
You got these lawyers now.
Yeah.
That they whole thing is putting
Ambulance
targets on
chasing.
18 wheelers, man. You know what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Straight ambulance chases.
man. Every
So,
commercial you turn on radio, have you been hit by an 18 wheeler? You know what I'm saying? Try to get the millions.
man, that shit how you want to slap the shit out of Jim Adler.
and with the right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Man, check this out, bro. Talking about these lawyers, man, reminds me of something, bro. One of my first jobs, I did flight line support for a private airport, fueling and towing private planes, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got that shit on video. I was on a flight going from Dallas to Tulsa earlier this week, and of course we flew by that place where I used to work at. But talking about these attorneys, when I worked at this place, one of the main people who would come in and would smell like he ran over a skunk, and would have his little bong sitting in the armrest, was an attorney by the name of Brian Lunkar. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Brian Longcar. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Was cool as hell. You can tell he was probably one of them college frat dudes who had gotten older. But he was one of them lawyers. So when we talk about Jim Adler, and all of those guys, man, I remember Brian Lunkar was one of them too. So for perspective for the folks in the chat, Brian Lunkar was an attorney in Dallas, who basically went after 18-wheelers and slip and falls and shit like that.
One of the originals.
Yeah, exactly. One
he
of
the doing shit 20 years before everybody. Yeah.
One of the ones who in the city of Dallas who was notorious for doing that, but he had a situation where he took himself out the game or unalived himself a couple years ago. So I still see his billboards up around. They still had that little arm. I used to have that little look like an arm emoji or something. He got a big billboard right there in South Dallas. So I guess his firm is still
rolling. I
still moving and grooving.
Family or something, maybe a son or something is taking over. Yeah,
probably took it over. The next the fourth pillar of leadership is humility. And how I've practiced humility is, number one, I have an open door policy, and I try to make sure that folks know there are times when I am going to make the decision, but most of the time when I make a decision, it's based off input that I've received directly from the group for a couple of different reasons. Number one, they spend a lot more time on the floor than I do. Mm-hmm. And also I want them to be able to feel empowered to make those kind of decisions to really make a change. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I also tell them when we are in these meetings, because the first thing they assume is, oh, they brought this guy in here. He may have been with the company for a while. He think he know everything. They assume the worst because you have the control to change their lives if they lose their jobs, right? Or if they get it, if you put them in a position to get increases. But one of the things I always make it a point to tell them is, hey, I'm no smarter than any of you guys. I'm not better than any of you guys, but if you're not careful, I'll outwork you. You know what I mean? Because that's something that they got control over. You got control over how hard you work.
Absolutely.
So those are some of the things that, and this comes naturally because I understand the perspective that they have of leadership. So I'm always like, hey man, I'm not any smarter than you guys. I'm not better than you guys. Only difference is I figured out what I was naturally good at. And if you're not careful, you're not paying attention, I'll outwork you. And then I go out and physically do these things, right? We had a floor scrubber that hadn't worked. It was like, that hadn't worked for 2 years. Well, I got on the horn, hey, transport, y'all need to come get this floor scrubber. We need it working. We got stuff we're trying to do. And then take it out to the floor, use it, let them get curious enough. I see them when they looking at me kind of running it. Hey man, so what that button right there do? Hey, where the key at to the, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just to get them curious enough to start using it themselves. But now you walk in, you see just about anybody running the floor scrubber, whereas before everybody had settled for it not being working for 2 years. And I especially told them, like, hey, as long as I'm here, it's going to be working and we're going to use it. So what are some examples of humility in what it is that you do? And anybody in the chat, feel free to chime in. Also, I know my brother Rob T and brother Simple Shit TV, steady dropping gems. Brother Blackavelli, I know he probably at work right now, but y'all feel free to chime in. If you need me to post a link, let me know. If you want to call in, or if you feel better commenting your thoughts, then by all means, rock out. But humility, what are some examples of humility where, as it relates to what you do? And I know you got 1,000,001, but
I was about to say, man, two different ways, man. First of all, humility as it relates to peer to peer. Hold on, bro. My son's screaming. He
Yeah,
must
but
be
said
having a
somebody
nightmare or
up.
something. Give
That
me a
boy drill.
give me a hot second, bro.
I got you. I'm gonna keep rocking out. I got you. All right, let's see here. All right, we're gonna let my brother take care of what he needs to take care of. We're bringing back in once he finishes handling his business. But the next pillar of leadership is humility. Lead by example is one of the fastest ways to earn respect, in my opinion. That's absolutely true. I've used it every step of the way. It helps to have a background in what I do. I've done it for a number of years. It tends to be a little bit more impressive when they see somebody from leadership who can grab a toolbox, roll over, repair a piece of equipment, or worst case scenario, everybody think we're dead in the water. They think they're going home early. I'm able to take a bunch of shit, take it back to the shop, weld it up, and reinstall it, and we're back running. We got my brother Little Podcast in the building. Hey, man. Got my brother Little Podcast in here, man. I appreciate you swinging by, brother. Appreciate you swinging by, man. This brother here, for those who don't know, if you aren't subscribed to Little Podcast, also Simple Shit TV, if you're not subscribed to these brothers, make sure you check it out. The same type of conversations that we're having over here. This brother has some of the most insightful streams, and he also brings sisters in to have these conversations too. But if you're looking for somebody who is really introspective and talks about coming from a rough upbringing and how the thought process on how to process this stuff, definitely check this brother out. Definitely check this brother out. He definitely has, they're having conversations that are worth having. I often go over whenever I can and try to support, try to cash out, super chat, but I try to support these brothers to incentivize continuing to have those conversations. It's important. As we know, it's important. A lot of times we get caught up in, we ain't supposed to have no emotions and so on and so forth, but it's absolutely important to have those conversations. Man, we got my brother Rob T Podcast. Appreciate you coming through, bro. Make sure y'all check podcasts out. I'm finna get ready to fill the stream up because we got two of my favorite brothers in the back. Some of y'all gonna know both of them, matter of fact. Finna add my brother Black Tread, and we're gonna add my brother Alvin Holden. What's going on, man?
What's up, brother? What's up? How you doing?
Man, I can't call it, bro. It is good to see you, bro. It's good to see you,
too.
man. Man, you know what? As soon as I saw you in the back, I was gonna hit you with the
Mark my word. I should have knew it was gonna be some bullshit today. It makes me laugh instantly every time I hear that. Every time I hear it, it makes me laugh instantly. I appreciate you for that. That alone.
Yeah, man. A lot of these conversations can get real serious, man. So I try to mix in some comedy, bro, to kind of lighten the mood up and to try to make it an even keel space, man. I don't want to be a group of brothers on here about to break down, but I also try to throttle it in a way where we're still having meaningful conversations, but we're still able to have fun, because I know that there has to be some type of entertainment element to what it is that we do. But hey, man, for the folks who are here in the room, introduce yourself, man.
Oh man, Alvin Holden, Simple Shit TV. I also go as a Project 8020. Project 8020 is kind of a fitness app that I'm building, and Simple Shit TV is just a channel I started to really simplify some really complicated social and political issues. Us as Black people, a lot of times we get caught up in the noise, and we get distracted by a lot of look over here, look over there, and we
Yeah.
missed the forest for the trees. And you know, I'm brand new to this. You know, I'm still figuring out what my voice is really going to sound like and what my look is really going to be. But you know, between you and seeing you and obviously Dennis, and it's given me the confidence to just kind of build it as I fly, as they say, as Kevin Samuels will say. And if I can help build black men, you know, people that look like us,
Absolutely.
into better people, man, they got us in a trick bag, man. They got us in a trick bag.
Oh yeah.
And it hurts my soul. And I've spent the majority of my life, you know, ducking and dodging bullets. And you know, you wake up at, you know, shit, man, I'm 42, so you wake up at 40 years old looking around, wondering what the hell, you know, what happened, you know, what exactly happened. And then you go back and you realize, I've been conned the whole time.
Yeah.
And so if I can go back, reach back, and you know, single, no kids, you know, it's been a 6-figure earner for a while now, but you know, but if I can reach back and save some of these brothers some grief, I'd like to do that. And that's kind of the purpose of my channel.
Salute.
Yep. Yeah, bro. So here, where I'm at right now, I have a lot of conversations with Lyft drivers, right? I didn't want to come to a smaller town, be riding around in the Benz. My common sense told me that ain't the wave. I also live close to where I work at here. And I had a conversation with a brother Thursday. And when the Lyft picked me up from the plant, I got in the truck and I said, "Hey, what's going on, brother? How you doing?" "Oh man, what's going on, Chief?" So once he said that, I knew, okay, you could smell it on him. You know what I'm saying? He didn't say, "How are you?" It was like, "What's going on, Chief?" I was like, "Okay, got it." And I said, "Hey man, you're working hard or hardly working today?" And this brother said, "Man, I'm working hard today, man, trying to catch up on this child support." You know what I'm saying? And we started to have this conversation, and what I found out was that this brother was a drill instructor in the Army. I can tell by the way he was ski ball shaved with the, with the mustache over the top. And then it's a military town, right, Kentucky, a military state, Fort Knox. So I knew that chances were he was a military guy. But he began to talk to me about when he was deployed and PTSD and dealing with some of the things that he was going through with his child's mother. And ultimately, as we're having this conversation, this is probably like a 15-minute ride. And as the Lord would have it, we came to some train tracks where a train was coming across, right? So me and this brother are having this conversation. And ultimately what I found out is that the whole reason he got into being a drill instructor was to do the exact same thing that a lot of us do in our day-to-day life, which is give back. And he said that he would see guys that would come in and they would be, as he called his problem child, his little problem child. And he would just pour into and invest a lot of time into these men to keep them from going back out here into the world with no kind of support, not knowing who they are, no skills, and falling victim to a lot of the traps that are out there waiting on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's I always get upset when I hear people say that, black men are not leading or black men are dusty or whatever the case may be, because there are so many of us who are out here doing the work. You think about, I see you doing the fitness stuff, right? I hear the conversations that we have on Uncle D's channel, right? My brother Black Tread, right? Dealing with mental health and that alone, you know what I mean? When I compare what I do, it doesn't even, I can't even compare it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there are so many things that brothers out here doing in the world, in real life, to try and move the culture forward. And that's one of the reasons why it upsets me when I hear people say that brothers are not out here putting it on the wood, doing the work, trying to move the culture forward and trying to invest in other brothers, man. But I'm so happy to see you guys here because it is live and in the flesh, and you're looking at brothers who actively go out into the world and do the work.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. No, it's been an inspiration, man. It's been, you know, and again, I'm sharing my own personal, you know, obviously experience, but, you know, just, you know, Dennis, right? You know, it was his, he was highlighting military men. And I was like, I need that, right? We need more of that. Where are those warriors at? Like, let me, you know, where are those, you know, black men that, you know, we always, if you're not running bouncing a basketball or throwing or catching or running something, then they don't want to talk about you. Yeah. And I'm, you know, you look at the statistics and you just realize that, okay, there is an abundance of us that are scattered across the country, you know, that just kind of got to keep our heads down, because every time we pop our head up, we get popped, right? You know, we're this close from being arrested. We're this close from being, you know, hit with child, you know, knocking somebody up that we shouldn't be messing around with, you know, or an abundance of different, there's a lot of traps out there for us. And again, if I can help say, hey, brother, you know, there's a guy on Dennis's stream this evening that you know, he had some lady take some money from his house. You know, she was hard up, and it was somebody that he had been seeing in the past, and you know, she came through thinking that she could get back in his good graces, and he dismissed her. But when he did, she left with some of his money. And you know, I don't talk to exes specifically for that reason. You know, maybe he needed to have that conversation before. But anyways, I'm happy to just be here to support, bro. I'm just here to support.
Bro, I appreciate it, man. I'm gonna tell you a funny story. So when I was in the heights of being a Pookie, the lunch lady wanted to shoot a shot at me, right? The lunch lady at the kids' school. I was probably 20. I was on bullshit, mid 20s. You know what I'm saying? Lunch lady was thick, and you know, we had a couple conversations, and she came over to the crib. The kids was, you know, I went over to their mom's house for the weekend. I had $100 in my wallet, right? And I got a call. I said, man, you know what? She's stretched out. I done did my thing. I can ease out here into the hallway, have this conversation. So I take the call. Puerto Rican thing. I'm thinking with the wrong head, right? I ease out in the hallway. I'm like, yeah, what's going on? Yeah, okay, okay, yeah. So what you doing tomorrow? Yeah, cool. So I look up and maybe 15, 20 minutes done passed. I'm thinking she sleep. I'm gonna wake her up, shoot it to the crib, which I did. I come back in, she stretched out. Looked like she ain't moved. I tap her, hey, you ready to go? Oh, yeah. Oh, let me grab my bag. I was knocked out. Take her to the crib, drop her off, and I'm gonna stop at the gas station, get some gas. I got some errands to run. Open up my wallet.
I should have knew it was gonna be some bullshit. You gonna pay for this?
Motherfucker peeled me for that hundo, bro. And
I
looked at the position that she was laying in before my dog ass went out in the hallway to take this call. And the covers looked like they hadn't moved, bro. My wallet, which was inside of like I had this TV stand deal with a big screen up on top of it. My wallet was like in the back. I said, damn, that bitch got the eye of the tiger. Boy, she...
Hey, they be setting you up, man. I did not realize. Did you confront her in that moment, or just let that shit slide?
I let it slide, bro.
Oops, my bad.
Because you good, bro. I let it slide because I was out of pocket anyway. Number one, I didn't know this motherfucker like that to have her all in the bed like that. Number two, I had her in the crib. I left her in the crib to go out in the hallway to take a call from another chick. It was too much slip. I was slipping across the board. You know what I'm saying? Doing Pookie shit. You know what I mean? Doing
but me knowing you back in them days, boy, you was boiling.
Yeah. Hey, bro, I ain't gonna lie. I wanted to step on her.
I know you did.
I wanted to slide on her, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I'm like, bitch, I know where you live. I know what you drive. I was like, yeah, I wanted to slide. I was like, all right, shit, all right. Put some of this apple cider vinegar in your gas tank. It's gonna do more than $100 worth of damage.
Mhm.
But I opened myself up for that one, bro. So I just took it on the chin, bro, and charged it to the game, man.
Yeah, you got to do that sometimes. I've been fortunate. I haven't had any situations quite like that, but I've been in some. I probably could have gotten myself into trouble a few times.
Yeah.
But luckily, I've been fortunate enough to duck those arrows and dodge those bullets. At least not long enough to have any serious repercussions. At least.
Man, my brother Black Tread, man, he's married, been married for a while, and he's one of the people that I ask for marriage advice, man. I'm like, hey, man, situations like this, how do you normally handle this? Or, hey, how did you know your wife was the one? How did you, because he's one of those people, man, for as much, as many conversations that happen around relationships in the space, he's one of the people who did it right. You know what I mean? Beautiful family, beautiful wife. Both of them are public servants, man, at the highest level, and sacrifice a lot to give back. So he's one of the people who give me hope that, you know what, if we do this thing right, as far as trying to break the back of the status quo, for a lot of the stuff that we deal with some of the modern women, I think that he's been able to accomplish this in an environment that tells people on both sides, that hey, forget about it. So I'm always, anytime I have any kind of questions about anything like that, I'm always like, hey, bro, how did this situation, how did this situation happen, or how do you handle this? How do you handle this particular type of situation? But I always provide some real good insight, and I always provide some real insight too. He done gave me some answers sometimes where I'll be like, damn, bro, that's some real shit. Like, I see why his marriage is tight like it is. I'm like, damn, bro, that's some real life shit. And I ain't trying to put you on the spot, bro, but
oh no, you solid, man. I appreciate it.
Go ahead, Al.
I'm just saying, I'm envious.
Yeah.
I ain't lying, man. I had having a conversation. I'm like, I had a convo with my mother not too long ago. I was like, Mom, I ain't never met the woman I'd think about putting a ring on her finger.
Yeah.
In my lifetime, I ain't never met a woman that I thought that I would be like, you know what? I think I could. I've never met her.
Yeah.
So, I'm always envious, and I'd like to have children. I'd like to have a family. That was always something that was a want or a want for me. But
Right.
I don't tolerate disrespect.
Straight up.
Like a lot of that slick, sneak dissing and stuff that girls like to do. Like that's grounds for instant dismissal for me.
Right.
Shit tests and ultimatums I don't tolerate. So, I've made quick work of a lot of girls. They look at me like, what happened? I'm like, oh, you don't know what happened? That ultimatum is what happened. I told you I don't do ultimatums. Don't let that doorknob hit you on the way out. Now, does that mean that I might have missed out on some opportunities to be with some, some potential wives in the past? Probably not, because again, I don't think I've met that woman yet, or a woman that I thought hit those standards. But that's just me personally. So I'm envious.
I ain't gonna even lie to you. I ain't gonna even lie to you. I lucked up, bro. That's all it was. I've been knowing my wife since the 8th grade, bro. We went to middle school together, high school a little bit, and we just reconnected in college. And it was one of those deals where we met. I mean, when we reconnected in college, neither one of us was looking for anything serious.
Yeah.
We just kind of started hanging out, kind of just dating a little bit, but at the same time, probably still seeing other people. And it got to a point where we was just like, you know what? This person's been good to me. Let's just see where it go, and took a chance on it, man. And it's worked out thus far. Now, I can't say unscathed because we both have taken some lumps. You know what I'm saying? Marriage has some of the worst beat downs that you could probably take, bro. I ain't gonna even stunt, man. But endurance. It's a marathon, man, and that's kind of what I've just learned over these 10 years of being married, man. It's just just being able to what Bruce Lee say, man, you got to be water. You
Yeah.
got to be able to adjust to the environment, man. And that's it.
I would imagine, and just to tie it into your stream, because I like to be, to do that. I would imagine the way you run your relationships has got to be a lot like how you would, kind of handle leadership at the job, right? Or similar in a lot of ways. I would imagine. I mean, obviously not as, but problem solving, delegating, feel, felt, found. All right, I hear you. Right, I would imagine. Which is why I don't think that just kind of messes me up, because I'm like, I'm not that hard to get along with. Like, I'm a pretty nice guy. I don't know, but I guess this is not my time. Not my
lot of
destiny.
times, bro, and I got a lot of partners and stuff that I'm friends with. Some married, some not, some divorced, and a lot of their problems stem from pride and ego, bro. And a lot of the times it's not necessarily, like you said, it may not necessarily be you that's hard to get along with. But and I'll tell my wife this, and I've told her this numerous times. Feminism killed our relationships. And I'm not saying that as a man that's saying, yeah, my voice is gonna overpower the woman. But I think me and my wife, we really started getting along very well when it was established that I was the head, but at the same time, she's the neck. So essentially, I can't do shit without her anyway. Like, your role is just as important as mine is.
Yeah.
My strengths may be your weaknesses. My weaknesses may be your strengths. And that's how we have to look at it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And, I always talk about chess. I used to be in the chess club in high school, square as hell at one point. Still is to a certain extent. But everybody knows that the queen piece that's the most powerful piece on the board.
Yeah.
That's the most powerful piece on the board. And that is essential to a relationship as well. And, and I think, the smart women, or the I ain't gonna say smart, I'm gonna say the more experienced women understand this concept, and also understand that the more that she pours into her dude, the more she's gonna get tenfold.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the part that, through experience on my part and maturity on my wife's end as well, that's kind of why it works. And I'm not saying that we still don't bump heads, because we do.
Yeah.
But at the essence, we understand that concept, so that actually helps us move forward.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, bro, because you said something that make a lot of sense. You said feminism did a number on our relationships, right? But you did. That I think that our image does not look like either one of us. I think it looks like a liberal white woman, them blue-haired feminists with the piercings in their face and shit. But in your marriage, how do you keep that shit out of your marriage? Because it's almost like an indoctrination, and it's constant. It's coming through the phone. It's coming through the TV. You turn on the radio. It's coming through the radio. How do you keep that shit from getting in your marriage? Because as you said, like, all it takes is a little bit to start the rotten process, right? And they've clearly came out and said that their whole goal is to obliterate, the traditional family. But for someone who has one, how do you keep that shit out of your marriage, bro?
You can't. You just deal with it. You just deal with it as it comes. Now, one of the issues that my wife and I kind of dealt with early on was false expectations, and those expectations were being driven by reality shows, Love and Hip Hop, Basketball Wives. So, in a sense, my wife kind of had this glorified expectation of, I want this type of a house. I want this type of this type of money. I want to drive this type of car. And I had to tell her, like, that life ain't built for us right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I know that, you say you don't really do ultimatums, but I gave one myself. I said, if that's going to be your expectation, then I said, you're going to suffer right now, because we're still in that building phase. And all of them professional athletes who are overpaid, I ain't gonna say overpaid, but they get paid very well to play a game. And the women that you're looking at, are the ones who recognize that early, or were with them early prior to, or maybe got with them at a later time. They got in while the getting was good, and now they get to live this enormous lifestyle with. But as you can see, even from the TV show, all this money, all the success, the so-called fame that they got, and all they do is bitch and fight each other.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? And I said, there's two sides to that coin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks good, but ain't none of them respect. I was gonna say hoes, but ain't none of them women happy.
Hey, go.
Ain't none of them happy.
Yeah.
It look good. Yeah, they just went about $80,000 Birkin.
Yeah.
But they fighting on TV. They making themselves look bad. Just the imagery of it. So
Right.
I told my wife straight up, like, we probably need to limit our intake of that.
Mm.
Because you absorb that too much, you really gonna start to believe that shit. And
Yeah.
I'm the type of dude, I'm kind of no nonsense in that regard. Like, you can't bring me bullshit. You know, if you're gonna bring me a problem, I hope you got at least 2 possible solutions to that problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of how I operate what I'm doing, because in order for me to do what I'm doing, I have to maintain a certain type of energy within my house.
Yeah.
Especially when I come home from work with the shit that I do, I see. So if I come home and the energy in my house ain't right, I'm probably gonna be pissed.
Yeah.
And I tell my wife all the time, like, don't put me in a position to spread that energy to my kids.
Yeah. Damn.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's the important part. Like, and I have a son and I have a daughter. So my daughter is watching both of us, specifically my wife. My son is watching both of us, specifically me.
Mm.
So we have to live our lives and run this marriage in a way that's going to produce a healthy husband in him and a healthy wife in her one day.
Right.
Because if we don't, that's where that accountability comes in. We fucked up.
Yeah.
If our kids turn out as failures, we fucked up.
It's almost like you got to make sure she has buy-in. Like you're talking again, like I said, you're talking about your like work, right? She has to buy into your process and to your way of. You're like, hey, look, like trust me, this is the way it needs to go to operate the right way. You need to stay bought in. Do you feel like, do you have like check-ins, you know, whatever sometimes, or you just kind of?
Absolutely, we check in regularly. Matter of fact, we just had a check-in 2 days ago. And a simple check-in it's nothing. It's simple, but it has a major impact, and it's more so, hey, how am I doing as not as a husband, but how am I doing as your husband? You know what I'm saying? And she may ask me, how am I doing as your wife? And the reason we specify the your part, because we don't fit the mold of everybody else's marriage. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, what did you learn? What did you learn that from? Because I'm gonna steal that shit.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah.
How am I doing as your husband, and how am I doing as your wife?
Well, I specify that specifically, bro, because my wife and I, we got married at 24 years old. Or 25 years old, I'm sorry. And so that's, looking back, that's very early for anybody to get married. And I'll tell my son that, like, that's early. Like, I would advise you not to do it, but I'm not gonna say don't do it. So when we first got together, we were trying to fit the mold of what we thought marriage was supposed to look like.
Yeah.
Because Rich, you know my parents, bro. So you've seen, like, my parents were married coming up, but they divorced, got married again, and then divorced again. My wife comes from parents that divorced as well. And to a certain extent, both of those marriages were toxic. So we're both coming into a relationship bringing that so-called toxic energy to it, not knowing it, because that's what we witnessed. That's what we saw. And so we literally had to, our marriage got better once we figured out that we can govern our very own rules within our marriage, and we don't have to have anybody else's approval.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people make the mistake of trying to fit this mold. Like, for example, you know, if you wasn't going to church every Sunday before you got married, Why try to force it and go every Sunday when you get married?
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, I'm all about anybody making themselves better if you feel that's gonna make you better, a better person or better your relationship. But a lot of times people force it. People be trying to force, square pegs in round holes, bro, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Boy spitting.
That's right.
So
Boy spitting.
That's right.
so I mean, you just go with what works for you. If if you want to have sister wives and all that kind of shit, hey, hey, if that works for you, it works. And
Yeah.
you know what I'm
Straight
saying?
up. Yeah.
Whatever works for you, it works.
I said, would you like some libation, my brother? Would you like some instances? And then all of a sudden,
I should have knew it was gonna be some bullshit today. You gonna pay for it. I should have knew. My word. My motherfucking word. You gonna pay
Oh
for
my
it.
God. That's gonna give me PTSD.
oh man,
That's hilarious. I love that.
But that's a hell of an insight to have, bro. Is that check-in piece, man. And then the way that you guys actually go about, like the actual wording of it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Your wife, your husband, to almost like to put that emphasis on, hey, I understand that I'm accountable to a specific person. You know what I mean? This is my position, and I'm accountable to a specific person. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And it kind of it low key kind of gives ownership. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And people take pride in that ownership.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can't say all of my thoughts are original as well. I listened to, I don't know if you're familiar with ex-football player DeVale Ellis.
JaVale Ellis.
DeVale Ellis. Him and his wife been together since college before he made it to the league. He's an actor now. I think he's doing some stuff. I think they even have like a little podcast and stuff like that. Great couple to follow, bro. Yeah. They've been through it too. And when I say this man bigs up his wife, but at first when I was like, damn, this boy really bigging up his wife. Like, but then when I got to really listening and I see how much she really bigs him, I was like, she giving all of that. She putting that energy into him, and he ain't doing nothing but recirculating it. Yeah, man. Yeah. So I was like, that's dope. That's dope.
Real quick, my brother MC Recovery and Wellness, man.
What's up, MC?
His brother raised the roof. You know what I'm saying? It's a Wrench T putting in the work, just chilling my mom in the hospital from an accident.
Hope she's okay.
Yeah, hopefully she's doing okay, man. If you need anything, brother, reach out. But definitely make sure mom is good. Mom dead and gone. Been dead and gone for a long time. So while she here, bro, make sure she good. Make sure she's straight. But I appreciate you taking out the stream, bro. Hopefully providing some entertainment while you take care of some family business, because that shit is important, man. You only get one. You know what I mean?
Sure. So absolutely.
Sure. We got my brother in here, man. I was talking about you earlier in the chat, brother Deshaun. For those who don't know, I had to get Doggy Style Dave up out of here. You talking reckless. But Deshaun, respect to the panel, good conversation, man. This is my brother right here, man. He hit me on this. He'll shoot me a text or call. Actually, he'll call. And we'll check in with each other, see how each other's doing. When my brother came out to Dallas, we linked up. Had some good lunch. My brother hit me with a curveball. He said, "Hey man, I'm vegan." I was like, "Shit, I'm a carnivore like a motherfucker. I don't know too many places. I don't know too many places where they got a vegan menu, but we're gonna figure it out." But definitely a good brother. He's also one of the moderators for Kevin Samuels. But I always do the timestamp. So if you go and look at any of Kevin's streams, you'll see brother Deshaun literally go through and timestamp everything. For those streams where you can actually get to those parts pretty quick. But thorough brother, is really out there putting it on the wood and going for what he knows. So it's definitely good to see you in here, brother. A numbers guy, smart as hell. You get to spitting them numbers out. I'll be like, shit, I can weld and fabricate, bro, and I can build some teams and lead some people, bro. But you get to rattling them numbers out, he leave me 3-4 steps behind. I can't keep up. But definitely good to see my brother in here. But damn, I'm still tripping on that marriage accountability piece. That's some fly shit. And oddly enough, the fifth point of leadership is optimistic and realistic. Optimistic and realistic. And it's funny how all of this shit ties into relationships, right? All of these pillars of leadership tie directly into relationships.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why I think that for brothers who, and all of us brothers are doing pretty good for ourselves. But and you guys tell me if you don't share the same sentiment, man. I try to be careful when I'm dating because I'm so used. My brain works in a way where I'm constantly leading people. Where I try to find a balance between pulling back on doing that, but also not pulling back too far to where she feel like, oh well, you know, I gotta step up and I gotta get out of my feminine to make it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to find that balance. You know what I mean? You have some who swear up and down that they want a guy who's a leader or they want somebody who can make decisions. I'm like, all right, motherfucker, be careful. be careful what you ask for. You know what I mean? How do y'all find that balance as highly productive brothers? And when I say that, ain't none of us making $15 an hour. And I'm saying that because I know all of us make over a certain amount. You know what I'm saying? But how do you find that balance between I don't know, you've been doing it for a while, bro. You well versed in this shit. Me and Alvin really just learning from you at this point here. Yeah. But how do you find the balance between really leading, right? Or when to put the gas on and when to put the brakes on?
Man, I think it kind of goes back to one of your other pillars, bro, which is gonna be humility.
That nigga spitting. What you drinking, bro? What's that? Angel's Envy or something? I need to give me some of this.
Say, bro, this that Uncle Nearest, 1884.
Okay. That Uncle Nearest.
Yeah, the 1884, man. I found that, man. I kind of like it, man. And so
that's the guy who taught Jim Beam, yeah.
No, the other one, not Jim Beam.
Maker's Mark.
Nope.
Jack Daniels.
Jack Daniels.
Jack Daniels.
Jack Daniels. That's it. But yeah, man, it's really just humility, man, and just finding a way to really connect with my wife regularly, because women they're up and down, bro. More so than men. They're way more emotional. So for me, it's all about just kind of, I may have to test certain shit out very lightly. You know how like when you buy like a stain remover, it'll tell you to test it in one little spot first before you use it on the whole deal.
Yeah.
So I got to do a lot of little testing sometimes with my approaches, depending on where she's at.
Yeah.
Because she's a nurse. She's an ER nurse, and she's in nurse practitioner school, and she's a full-time mother with 2 babies that are 5 and 2. Yeah. So me as the leader of this house, I have to recognize that her plate is full. Yeah. She has a lot of shit going on. So her mood may be this way one day, and it may be another this day. So sometimes that leadership that you're talking about it has to have a range. I may be operating up here one day. I have to probably be down here one day, where I may be talking this day, and one day I just may be sitting up listening for 2 hours while she get all this shit off her chest.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of that, bro. And like I said, I'm at a point now where I've been with her total going on 13 years, and we've lived together 12 of those 13.
Yeah.
So
that boy got that he got that scratch off, and that boy got that scratch off and hit on the first number, shit, then the second one and the third number. God damn.
Yeah.
I'm like I said, I'm envious.
Yeah.
You know, because you get to this place and you say, you know, I could build faster if I had the support team, or if I, I could build in a different way. I could sit at some different rooms and some different tables if I had a little bit, someone to put that battery in my back a little bit,
Mhm.
So there is a benefit to it. I totally understand, obviously, that obviously the right one, someone that's not going to undermine your path or your plan.
Mhm.
But
Bro, you know how
envious.
much? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I'm envious.
Man, you know how much shit I want to delegate these last couple of weeks, man. I had to go back to Dallas for a funeral. Um, I went for the funeral. On the way back, my American Airlines flight got canceled, so I had to start looking for other plane tickets. Right, looking at different, different companies. Ended up,
Mhm.
looking at Delta, looking at United, because I always fly American. I have the American app. That's where my points hit. But here it is. See a problem, solve a problem, right? So I was like, shit, fuck it. The flight got canceled. I need to get back to Kentucky. How am I gonna do it? And that's when the switch flipped. Ultimately, I ended up finding a Southwest flight that was going out the same day. It just so happened to go from Dallas to Tulsa to Chicago Midway, and then here to Kentucky. But I was like, damn, it would have been convenient as hell to have a white baby. Flight got canceled. See what else is coming to, see what else will get me to you. And she
Mhm.
shoot the link or shoot the, hey, this your boarding pass. You know what I mean? Like, so I think about shit like that too. I'm like, hey man, that shit is cool, it's cool to be hard charging and shit like that. But there are times when you be like, man, god damn, I want to do this shit. Like my Sam's membership automatically withdrew one day. I was like, what the hell, $100? Like, who just jabbed me for $100? You know what I'm saying? Like, who just hit me for $100, bro? Shit like that.
And that's a new feature. They just put the automatic renewal on them accounts because I got hit like that too.
Hey, they're gonna take that money.
Man, they
Yeah.
jugged me. I was like, I ain't been to Sam's in about 6-7 months. Man. I'm like, but what can you do? You know what I mean? What can you do? I mean, you can cancel it, but as soon as you cancel it, you're gonna need
You don't need
damn
something.
Sam's card. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's shit like that, bro. Where I'll be like, man, it would be a lot easier to delegate some of this shit. But we'll see one day, because I also know that looks don't last forever. I've been bald for a long time, so at some point, it's either fuck, fight, or hitchhike, because my brother Deshaun say, congrats on your marriage. Good to see brothers in good marriages with someone that helps them grow. Yeah, yeah.
Hey man, I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
There's probably some sisters hiding in the back. They ain't gonna comment. They probably like, shit, let me see what they talking about over here. If you look at my shorts, they would think that I got a disdain for them. I just be making fun of them for making shitty decisions. That's all it be. But I don't personally hate them. You know what I'm saying? I don't think any of you brothers hate them either. We're just to
I
the
will.
point where, it's we're careful with our energy, because it's been a long ride over these last 40, 50, 60 years of being told that you ain't shit, you're unproductive, and you're dusty, you ain't built shit, and it's like, goddamn. But we got a brother here who's a lifelong friend of mine. Our parents and grandparents were friends, bro.
That's great.
So, he's somebody who, like I said, is basically family. You know what I mean? But I enjoy hearing this insight as far as being in a marriage, because I think once that red pill rage get away from a lot of brothers, and they sitting there at the crib dolo, they like, damn, so I wouldn't mind smelling some ground meat getting browned in this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So I make no bones about it. I'm always a realist. Like, hey, bro, I don't hate black women. I don't hate women in general. But I don't take no shit either. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, Black Tread, you would know better than most, bro. But it's been a journey, bro. I've worked hard, bro, and sacrificed a shit ton of time, a lot of relationships, just to be somebody who is able to serve a purpose that's bigger than me. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And that's pouring. And right now, for the next couple of years, it's pouring into but this is my last rodeo doing it, pouring into brothers who may be in, you know, maybe in dire situations or maybe on the fringes. We got brothers who, if I fire this brother, I know he probably gonna get killed. You know what I'm saying? If I can change his mentality and change his mind, he may end up being a supervisor or something here, or he may go on to do something better with his life. You know what I'm saying? Those are the kind of things that I'm looking at on a day-to-day basis because I work with a lot of young guys. And when I see the light bulb come on, I'm like, man, I hope that it sustains, because everything that I know, my experience, everything tells me that if this brother is not in this type of job function, he probably not gonna make it to 30. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's kind of the, yeah. We're gonna breeze through these other. How long we've been on? I know we've been cooking up, man. I still got a lot of energy. It's what, 2 o'clock in the morning. Y'all will be up to the sun come up messing with me. The sixth point, the sixth point is values others' opinion and having confidence in your own. Valuing others' opinions and having confidence in your own. I think that it's one of the things we talked about, right? I take a lot of feedback from my team. Sometimes it is far-fetched and is a way, it has dick to do with what we're doing at work. So I at least hear them out, but definitely take feedback from them, because ultimately they are the customer. In those particular settings, they're expecting a deliverable from me. And as the leader, I try to make sure that I really follow through with those, and that goes towards buy-in and trust, shit like that. And also having the confidence to, when I need to, like I say, hey, no, we're not doing none of that. This is exactly what we're gonna do. Make the call. We're gonna roll with it. Start putting names to actions, and then start doing my checks and making sure everything is where it should be, or everything is operating the way that it should. So valuing others' opinions and confidence in your own. What type of insight can you brothers provide for the folks that are listening right now?
Well, I mean, if I'll jump in.
Yeah.
So I come from I'm coming from the fitness space.
Yep.
And
Brother Deshaun is too. My bad, not to interrupt. Brother Deshaun is a personal trainer also.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we again, one of the best things I ever learned in any of the sales training or sales things is feel, felt, found. And I swear to God, I thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. I remember I'm like, let me just see how this works.
Yeah.
And I've used it in a sales situation. Feel, felt, found. Often feel, I understand how you feel. I've often felt the same way, and I found that I've done just like that, and it worked. And I was like, wow, this has really worked. So I think a lot of times people just want to be heard and know that you hear them. And then if you can explain, like, okay, I heard what you had to say. Thank you for your insight, but we're gonna go a different way. I've generally gotten really good responses.
Yeah, me too.
And every once in a while, and if that doesn't work, it's because of some bigger problem. But for the most part, that approach has always been good to me personally.
Yeah. Brother Black Tread on that Uncle Nearest. You good over there?
Hey man, I'm great.
Chilling.
I'm great.
Boy say I feel this Uncle Nearest. I don't remember feeling like this. And what was the
Feel, felt, found.
Yeah,
Feel, felt,
so I
found.
found the bottom of this damn glass.
That's right.
Man, it's just little nightcap, man.
Yeah, straight up.
So I'm one of those guys who, how people always say there's no such thing as a stupid question.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree.
Yeah.
With some of the leadership positions that I've been in, and some of the, before I was with the fire department, I was with McAfee, who's owned by Intel. And I was a manager.
There's a hell of a documentary on that dude.
Yeah, dude, funny. And they made it clear off the top, he is no longer affiliated with this company. You know what I'm saying? Just to, they had to rein that back in. Everybody's thinking he still had something to do with the job, bro. So it was affecting stock prices and everything. It was crazy how that was going. Yeah. But I often told my team, because I had a team here. I had a team that I did. This was before. I think this was before Zoom. You know, we used to have. I had a team in Bangalore, India, and another team in the Philippines. And you know, we used to have these conference rooms that had the TV, and they had them big cameras that sat on top of the TV. So that was before Zoom and like Teams.
Right.
But one thing I used to always tell my teams, man, if you're at a certain level, if you're on this team, there are certain questions that you just shouldn't ask, that you should already know the answer to. Like if you're here, that means you're already at a certain level.
Right.
Like, so yeah, that's a stupid question. You know, and I'd be quick to say that. Like, and one thing I also realized about dealing with people, and you can see it on social media, which is crazy. Like, people just want to talk.
Yeah.
People just want acknowledgement that I'm here.
Yeah.
And bottom line is, some people just need to realize that we don't care. What value are you bringing?
Yeah.
That's bottom line. Like, what value are you bringing to this current situation other than stupid questions and invaluable opinions?
Right.
And I think sometimes that actually needs to be said in that exact tone.
Yeah.
It makes people think, okay, do I really want to say something now? If it's valuable, say something. And if it is valuable, then I'm gonna let you know on the spot. Like, okay, that's valuable. We can roll with that.
Yeah.
But if it's stupid, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna embarrass you, but okay, next person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So in the age of social media, bro, things have changed. Everybody wants to be seen. Everybody wants to be heard. Everybody thinks their opinion matters.
Everybody get a trophy.
Everybody gets a trophy. Everybody feels that people have taken the phrase freedom of speech to levels that it shouldn't even be at.
Straight up.
Like, people, yeah, you have freedom of speech, but shit, that don't free you from consequences of
you're accountable for that bullshit too.
You're accountable for that bullshit. And so that has to be understood, bro. 100%. 100%.
With the final one, and I'll listen to you brothers. You know, I'm interested in your perspective. The last one is self-acceptance. The last pillar of leadership. The seventh one is self-acceptance. And whoever want to chime in and go first, go ahead. I go after y'all. After y'all drop some knowledge. I already know the bar gonna be high as hell, so I may just be like, "Well, that's all I got. That's all Big Bro got for y'all tonight. Y'all be good. I'm gonna go ahead in the industry." But self-acceptance.
Self-acceptance. You know, I'll start because that way I can. The only person to ever stop me from accomplishing something was me. I've undermined my own progress every single time, or not tried. Every time I've tried and put my effort in, I've been successful. And I think a lot of times people have imposter syndrome. Sometimes they'll get in a situation and they just, you know, they don't do just because they just don't do, you know. And when I started accepting that I'm good enough, I'm qualified, I can do the job, I'm smart enough, I'm intelligent enough, then everything, I stopped competing with people. I was comfortable training my replacement. I was, it freed me up to really allow me to do my job. You know, unfortunately, not, you know, working for someone else, those results don't always pan out. At least they hadn't for me, because obviously you were working for someone else. But in my job, I've always been successful. And the minute I realized that I was good enough to be there and good enough to do it, is when I was good enough there. So that's kind of my personal, input into the sitch.
Shit, yeah. Black
Okay.
Tread, self-acceptance, man. What's your take?
It's funny how all of your pillars are like all really intertwine and relate to each other. And it's gonna be the second time I brought up this other pillar, bro. But humility, bro,
Yeah,
it falls back to that self acceptance. Is being able to look in the mirror and accept the person you were, the person you are right now, in all honesty, and the person you really have the potential to be.
mm,
Um, and a lot of times, especially in a leadership position, bro, that has to almost kind of be broadcasted publicly so that your subordinates or the people that are working beside you, your peers, can understand that that's where you are because it'll make them want to actually work for you or work alongside with you
yeah,
because it kind of it dissipates any thoughts of arrogance,
yeah,
cockiness, and it breeds synergy.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and if people around you can feel that presence on you, especially just as a man, like when you can admit like, hey, I screwed up, but let's backtrack, let's revisit,
yeah,
and come up with another plan or another solution.
Yep.
That's highly important. That's
yeah,
highly important. Not just
yeah,
in business, but in relationships, just shit as a man, hell, as a woman, as a
yeah,
person, as an individual, like that's important.
yeah.
So
Man, that self-acceptance, man. You know, I and it's funny how as you get older, a lot of people on the outside looking in may think that brothers our age already have it figured out, but you're constantly learning, right?
Absolutely.
The thing that I learned about myself as it relates to what I do being in organizational leadership, what I learned about myself, man, is in the beginning, things that came really simple to me ended up being things that hindsight being 2020 stuff that is really complex. I was blessed to find out, um, or I was blessed to get into an industry where it comes easy to me. And I give you guys some example for perspective. You take a multi-million-dollar piece of equipment and it stops working, right? Um, the literal image that I see in my head is the internals of this machine without the covers on it, if that makes sense. And I know it sounds like some sci-fi shit, but
Mm-mm.
when I look at this piece of equipment, I literally see the components of it. And so if it's a machine that has a bunch of moving parts and it's a robot doing a bunch of different things, if it stops, um, 9 times out of 10, the minute I get to the machine, I have an idea of how I'm gonna go about figuring out why. Is it something mechanical? Is it something electrical? Is it an energy source? Whether that's pneumatics, or whether it's pumps or hydraulics. This stuff happens like really really quick in my head, and I thought everybody had that. You know what I mean? Um, Once I learned that about myself, I realized also that no, it's a marketable talent to have, but I also have to slow down sometimes when I start training other managers or I start training supervisors, because I can rattle this stuff off, and I'm assuming that everybody's mind works the same way when it doesn't. You know what I'm saying? So I've accepted that, and I talked about it a couple of days ago. Two guys got passed over for the position that they asked me to take on. Um, and these guys came back and said, hey, well, I just want to let you know I did apply for that position, but they told me I wasn't ready yet and that they have a prodigy that they're trying to land. And this is at the corporate level. They have a prodigy that they're trying to land. And we're glad you're here and so on and so forth. I never looked at myself as a prodigy. I was just like, I thought this is how everybody's brain worked. So I when I accepted it, it helped me not get frustrated when people couldn't pick up on it as fast. What it also made me do was like, okay, if I'm really, really strong here, then obviously I'm weak somewhere else. Let me look for the weaknesses so that I can shore up those areas also. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that comes with life experience. It also comes with professional experience where everybody's patting you on the back, and you're like, all right, one of y'all gonna have a knife one day. Let me not get too high on my horse. You know what I mean? I appreciate the accolades, and on the surface, you never get high off of it. Like, oh yay me, everybody is on my team. It's like, hey man, some of these folks, man, and you can't even really take it personal. They don't know better. You know what I'm saying? They've never been in leadership. Some of them have crazy personal lives, and to them it may just be talking shit, and it may just be, taking stabs and poking the bear. But I learned not to take that stuff personal. So those are, some of the things that, as it relates to self-acceptance, those are some of the things that I've learned along the way, and I've tried to always keep at the forefront of everything that I'm doing, especially when we have a big win. Try to make sure that, like, hey, yep, that was cool, but you still got to do it again tomorrow. Yep, that was cool. Hey, you landed the month or you landed the quarter, but you still got to teach other people how to do this. And you have to simplify all of this shit that happens in your head at breakneck speed. You have to slow this shit down, and you have to train and teach other people how to do this. My brother MRT094 said, I know exactly what you mean. I work in robotics myself. Hey man, that automation is a beast. I love it. I have a good time doing it. I don't get to touch it as much as I used to when I was a technician, but it's always fun to help the technicians when they get stuck, because they assume that you sit in the castle and don't know anything about mechanics, but they learned real quick. Everybody was like, no, he used to be a mechanic. He used to be a technician. You know what I mean? But I don't get to touch it as much as I used to. But all in all, it's still fun. I don't leave work every day feeling like beat down. Normally I'm just like, that's a win, but do it again tomorrow.
Right. Well, before I got into fitness, I was in auto finance. I was a finance director of a car dealership.
Nice.
And I spent all my time hanging out with the service boys next door when I wasn't in this. Well, first I started in sales, and similar kind of, I was on the fast track, sales for not very long, right into finance, and then got into found an opportunity to be able to be a director of my own store. Nice. And it's funny because everybody would look around, where's Alvin at? And I'm over in this service bay wrenching with those guys, are looking around, bothering them. What y'all doing over here? And they're trying to figure out why the guy in the suit is hanging around in the back. Well, it's like, because I'm a lot like you when it comes to machines, and that for me. And I like to get my hands dirty. That's where the people are, like, I'm not pretentious. You see, that's part of my shtick, is that I don't want to be pretentious. I'm not, that way as no one has any. And so it's, I can relate to that, because I always found myself gravitating in my off time. I'd always find myself getting my hands dirty with the greasy guys, but sitting in the office when it came down to the work.
Absolutely. Just to recap, the 7 pillars of leadership. So belief in the purpose, taking full responsibility, the ability to move on and forgive, humility, optimistic and realistic, valuing others' opinions, confidence in your own, last but not least, self-acceptance. Any closing thoughts from you brothers, from you good brothers?
Man, I'm just gonna say, man, I think that those 7 pillars are highly important. I learned about him early from one of my mentors, man. He put me on a book. I think it's Seven Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell.
Yep.
Uh, I read that book maybe 11 years ago. And dude, it's just amazing how little pieces of information like that and a little bit of conversation can literally change the trajectory of somebody's outlook in business, their career path. So, all in all, man, I just salute you for even having this being a moderator of this conversation. Like, that's important.
Yeah. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. That's the goal is to get like-minded brothers in here. And the sisters are welcome too. This is definitely a male space, but the sisters are welcome here because I think they should get an idea, or it's a perfect place to get an idea for the way that highly productive brothers' mind work. And also when you provide feedback to brothers, for those of us who aren't married, when you give us your insight on what a successful marriage looks like, right? And also say, hey, it's not perfect, but it's not supposed to be. I mean, it's a learning process for both as you kind of walk through and take that journey. So for those who want to be married and for the sisters who want to see what it looks like, what the conversations look like when highly productive brothers get together and bounce valuable ideas off of each other, this is a good space to do that, Yeah. Brother Alvin, any closing remarks?
I just want to, give you your early flowers. Thank you for having this conversation and putting the stream together. It's because look, anybody that doesn't do this for real, this is hard work. It's hard work. It's nerve wracking, right? You prepare, but you're not quite sure you're prepared enough. You might set up the stream and nobody show up, maybe kind of, and to really put yourself out there and to grab the reins and have the conversation is a noble thing. You don't have to do it. Right. Like, you're more than successful without any of this madness. I would imagine all of us on this panel are. So it's a noble thing to do. And that's leading by example, which, kind of exactly what you were talking about. And it's motivation for me, it's inspiration for me, and hopefully we can empower anyone that happens to catch this either live or on a replay. And say, you know what, like I could do this too, or maybe I have some input or some insight, maybe I have a specialty that I can talk about, or I'll catch these guys on the next one. I can help them do X, Y, or Z. So I just want to thank you and I appreciate you doing this, because now I'm like, I got to get my stuff together. And all right, so but thank you for having me on and allowing me to speak.
Absolute, bro, man. I appreciate y'all dropping in. I was excited when I looked in the back. I was like, man, I got my brothers up here, man. I know both of you. I know both of you brothers, man, have beautiful, brilliant minds. And for anyone who listens to this, whether it's the restream or if you've been in the chat, just kind of listening from afar, if you are somebody who retrieves buggies at Aldi's, man, don't let an opportunity pass by to pick the brains, to pick our brains, man. That is what this space is here for. Also, it's not a an exclusive group where you can't ask those questions, right? You can't provide different scenarios, even if you want to say, well, I'm not going through it, but I know somebody who's doing such and such, or they have this kind of situation going on with their career. How would you guys handle that? That's cool, because at the end of the day, this is another form of giving back. And the fact that you two brothers come up here and give you years of knowledge, years of wisdom, your insight, your thought processes, and your perspectives is highly valuable. And if this space wasn't what it was tonight, I wouldn't even do it. If it was just me getting up here rattling off every day, I'll run out of shit to talk about. And before you know it, all of my streams would be shit talking. And Black Tread know better than a lot of people. And Brother Alvin can see, I get up here and start cracking jokes, and I start having people call in, and I just start ripping people up. with the soundboard in tow too, you know.
Right.
So I appreciate you brothers coming over and providing all of your wisdom and knowledge for everyone to listen to. For the sisters who may be hiding and listening, y'all are welcome. You can't come over here and call nobody dusty though. I'm gonna tell you that much.
No.
Because obviously ain't none of that cracking over here. But
No.
appreciate you brothers. I'm gonna end the stream here in a bit. I'm gonna close y'all out. If y'all don't have anything else, you brothers have a good night. I'm gonna wrap it up. And once again, I appreciate you brothers, man. Y'all the best, man.
Man, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, brothers. All right, man, this is probably my favorite stream so far. Once again, shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to the brothers who came up. What this stream was tonight is exactly why I started this page. Wrench Turner Presents is really a male introspective page. It is not specific to just brothers, just black men. It's men in general, because I believe everybody have something to contribute to the conversation. For anyone who's listening, whether you listen to the recast, whether you're listening live tonight, I want you all to know that I greatly appreciate you being here. Appreciate everyone who stopped by, left comments. Anyone who dropped in for a minute just to see what was going on. We had a little podcast here. If you're not subscribed to Little Podcast, go over to that brother's channel, click that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Make sure you click all, because he's having valuable conversations over there. Check out brother MC Recovery and Wellness. Check out brother Deshaun. You have brothers who check out Simple Shit TV, brother Alvin Holden. These brothers are dropping and giving valuable information. Shout out to brother Blackavelli, JC the Conqueror. Our brother Rob T, as always, Black Tread TV, as usual. Of course, Little Podcast. MRT094, appreciate you dropping in, bro. But that's all I got for y'all tonight. Big bro gonna catch up with y'all. Y'all be good. Bet.